Hello. First, I'd like to thank you for your time and your willingness to contribute to our project. My name is Jana Sasakamoose. I'm from Atakaku First Nation, and I obtained my bachelor's degree at the First Nations University of Canada. I am registered in my Master of Science with my major in interdisciplinary program at the University of Regina. Dr. Arzu is from the First Nations University of Canada, and Dr. Andre is from the University of Regina, are both writing an open book for Introductory to Statistics course of universities. The textbook will be publicly available on the internet free of charge, and I'm helping to develop the Indigenous content for this textbook. One of the chapters of this textbook is about the probability. Probability is a branch of mathematics concerning about estimations of chances of an event to happen. I know that there exists Indigenous games relating to chances, such as hiding and guessing a stick dice, flipping, and then throwing stones. Could you please talk to us about these types of games?
Yes, I can. Good morning, Jana. Good morning. There's so many games that I could talk about. I grew up in an Indigenous community. I grew up in lodges. I grew up going to powwows, and I actually grew up with my going to visit my nokom and my musham, and they used to take me to hand games when I was very young. So I grew up in this way. And I always watched them, and it was always so fun and exciting because there was so much excitement at all of these events. And they'd be laughing and they'd be talking in Cree. And I always wondered what they were doing because I was very young when I first started watching. And so as I got older, I got the hang of it and I learned how to play these games. So we traveled with my family and we traveled to these big tournaments. And it's kind of a little bit difficult to describe how I even got started. It was years and years of watching. And there's different ways of playing different games because there's the hand games, they call the stick games, they call it. And there's this other one, it's called the moccasin game. So there's two different types of games that I know, and they're very similar. The hand games that I grew up watching, there was usually 2 to 4 players. And in the moccasin games, there was usually 4 to 12 players. So they're like, it varies, different games vary, and they come from 2 different ways. Like with I'm a half Korean, half Dakota. So the hand games, I learned from my Cree side. And the very first time I watched it, I was at a powwow real long time ago, and we were watching in Thunderchild. I'm pretty sure it was Thunderchild, and I'd be sitting there and I'd be wondering what they were doing, and they'd be hiding, but they wouldn't be hiding them under a cloth or anything. They would be hiding them in their hands, and they would have these sticks and bones, and I used to just sit there and watch them for a very long time. So with the sticks, they were, I think I might have one here. Hold on a second. Hold on. So the sticks they would use would be about this high, and they would have, I think they would have usually 7 of them, 7 of these sticks, and they would have colored sticks. So they would have 1 set for each team. So they would have 14 of those, and they would have 2 bones. And these bones would be about this size or a little bit smaller. And one would be just like this, and the other one would have a line in the middle. And what they would do, you know, they would have singers, and they would have They would have people singing and they would have drummers, and it would be like so full of excitement. Everybody would just be watching everybody because they would try and make you look at them so you wouldn't, concentrate on looking at where this was. And I used to just look at everybody, and it was so exciting for me. Like I was just a little girl when I started watching these. So they would take the stick and they would move it. They would move it back and forth like that in the back of your hand, so you wouldn't know where it was, So they would pick. So they would have two people, one on this side. If they're playing in twos, they would have one team on this side and one team across from you. And the team that would start, they would have these bones and they would put them behind them. And say the person that's on my team on this side, and they would hide these bones. And if the person beside me on this side had it on this side, and I had it on this side, so that would mean they were on the inside. So the other person, if he knew and that they were on the inside, he would make the signal of the inside. And I'm pretty sure the signal of the inside is like this. I'm pretty sure that's the inside signal. Yes. It was very long ago since my last, I think it was about 8 years ago since I went to one. So I'm trying to remember as best I could about all of these signals. So that is one signal. And there's another signal. It's like this. No, I'm pretty sure this is the inside signal. This is the outside signal. So if the person on me, and I had this on this side, and the other person, my partner, had it on the outside of his. And so that would be the outside. Yeah, the outside and the inside. And then if we both had it on our right side, we'd point to the right like this. And if we had it, if we both had it on our left side, we would point like this to the left. Yes. And if we both had it on our right side, if we both had these, both of us had it on our right side, we would point like this. So those are the signals that the opponent would have to give if he got it right. And if he didn't get it right, we would take one of his sticks from him. So we would keep collecting these sticks until we had all of his sticks and he was out. And usually hand game tournaments, they would last, sometimes they would last all weekend, and they have hand game tournaments all over the place. They have like big hand game tournaments up to like 20. I think the biggest I seen was $21,000 to win a hand game tournament. And this is, where was this? I think it was in Seattle, I'm pretty sure. And, we wanted to go one year, but it was just too far to sit there and wait for your turn because there's, hundreds of people that are playing in these tournaments that want to win that big money. So, the probability of winning one of these tournaments is very low. But you could be doing this for a really long time, and it's all about luck. This game is all about luck, Sometimes I know I taught my children how, two of my children play this game also. And sometimes they get very lucky. I notice the younger people get more lucky than the older people. I don't know why, but that's just how it has been for my family. So going back, you know, long ago to these tournaments before they came like big money tournaments. This tournament, I mean, these games, these hand games, these didn't come from the human beings. These games came from the little people. These little people played these games a long time ago, and they long ago they gave this game, and they gave these songs to the human beings. And not very many people know, you know, the origin of the story, but I know I was told about this story, and they gave it to the human beings, and since that day, the human beings have been playing this game. You know, so it's a very, very old game, and these songs, you know, they were given to us by them, you know, and you know, I wanted to stress that, you know, to keep these games going and to know where they came from. It was a gift that they have given us. And I don't know, I don't know exactly where this actually happened. I haven't went far back to ask, but I'm pretty sure it was somewhere uh south. That's all I know. And you know, I think the more I look into it, I could probably find out, because yeah, southern Alberta maybe, or even farther than that. Because all the stories that I hear of the hand games, these particular hand games and the stories, they came from Alberta. So, you know, they were told to me by some elders from Alberta. So I could probably look into that also.
Laurie, yeah, sorry, I just one interesting thing I noticed I wanted to ask. So when you're saying talking about the tournaments, how many teams, if you remember, approximately played in those tournaments? 10 teams, 15, or?
Okay, in smaller communities, like when I first started watching, there would be, I want to say, at least 40 teams or more. But at bigger tournaments, you know, you have probably 3,000
And
groups of people. Yeah.
how many people in each team?
They usually have 4 at these
4.
big tournaments, yes.
4. And how do you choose your opponents? It's
You don't choose your opponent. It's usually given to you by whoever is sponsoring the tournament.
okay. And let's say two teams, they played, one won, another lose. And what happens? So the winning team continues, and another team
Yes.
leaves, right?
Yes. And sometimes they wait like maybe 8 hours till their next game. So it's like a really long waiting time to sit there and wait till the next time you play. And like these are for bigger tournaments, but smaller tournaments, not very long. You don't wait very long. Probably three hours maybe is the longest that I've known. So it really varies.
And you play until one team loses all sticks, right?
Yes, it's like,
not by
you know,
time.
any other tournament, yeah.
So each team is given 1 stick and 1 bone, or how many
Each
sticks are given?
each team is, they usually have their own sticks. They carry their own sticks, but sometimes in big tournaments they supply everything for you, and they would have 7 sticks and 2 bones. But like for one whole set of games, they would have 14, you know. So they try and make it like for one game. So you would have 14 of these, and you would have 4 of these.
And where do you get that bone and sticks? Or each team they have to prepare themselves, or?
Yeah, they usually go and buy some, and there's a lot of people that make beautiful sets for these games. You know, they usually get any kind of, usually they get like moose bones or buffalo bones, you know, and it's smaller than this, probably. Okay, see, this is kind of big, so it would be a little bit wider than this marker, just a little bit wider than that, but it would be about, they would shape it in this kind of form. I don't know if you could see it. It's like a circly, see it?
Mhm.
Yeah, it would be shaped like that, but it would be a little bit bigger than this marker, or a little bit wider than this marker. And it would have to fit in your hand, you know? So when when the music is playing, you're dancing like this, and as you're dancing, you know, you're getting it ready, and then you go like this, you know? And when you go like this, they would guess which one where you would have the bones between you and your partner.
Yeah.
So that is how that game goes.
And you also mentioned about the Marcassian games. So do you remember about them as well?
About the moccasin games,
Yeah.
it's a similar game to that game. You have your teams. Okay, and say, okay, these are played within a Dakota people. So I don't know exactly the origin of this story, but I know that they have big tournaments also. I was actually watching a tournament 2 years ago in Brandon at the Brandon Winterfest, it's called, and they have these big events for the Dakota people there, and people from all over, you know, all over the territories. They come and they play a bunch of different games, and one of the games is the moccasin game that they play there. So they would also have singers and drummers who would sing specific songs also. And say you're playing with 4 people, like the teams can be bigger in the moccasin game. So say you're playing with 4 people, then you would have 14 sticks. Say, and you don't need bones. Well, yeah, you do need something. You don't necessarily have to be bones. They would have to be like maybe a pebble, a rock, or even a bullet. You know, they would have different things that they would have to use, but you would have these 4 cloths in front of you, and you're kind of like going like this to the cloth, but you're kneeling down on, and you're trying to hide whatever you have to hide, whatever they give you to hide. It's usually like a little pebble or something small that you can't really see. I mean, that you can't really tell. So as you're going like this, trying to pretend to put them under these, you know, like the size of a placemat, you know, when you're sitting at the table, it's about the size of those that are in front of you, these big cloths, and it's about that size. So you're trying to put it underneath and trying to, you know, hide it while the opponent team is watching. So if you're playing with 4 people, you're using 12 sticks. If you're playing with 6 people, you're using 14 sticks. If you're playing with 8 people, you're playing with 21 sticks. If you're playing with 10 people, you're using about 24 or 25 sticks. You know, it could vary. And if you're playing with 12 people on a team, then you're using up to 20, probably like 28 or 29 sticks, around that area. So the sticks really vary, and you have to, the name, I mean, how you play is you're collecting these sticks. So you're still collecting sticks like this, you know, and you're using these sticks to point with. So you're not using the hand signals that I showed you with these moccasin games. You're using sticks to point with to tell you which one it's under, you know. Usually you use willow sticks for that game. So So you're hiding this little thing under these, you have 4 placemats. So you're going like that and everybody's sort of like dancing, your team is dancing behind you and the opponent team are singing, it's like that. That's how it goes. So you're putting it under there and then the leader, the captain or whatever of your team has the stick and he'll be pointing to where it is. And if it's wrong, then you get a stick. Same exact way.
See, in different games like boxing or something, they have some special terminology sometimes. And my one question is that do you use some specific words? And see, each time, let's say we're playing and you're hiding, how do you call? Do you have any special word to say that? Okay, so, or let's say first round, or first part, or something. I'm asking because in the textbook, very often we use that words, and sometimes we use a round, like the round 1, round 2. Do you have any specific words for these games? For
No.
each time, you don't have that.
No.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, they usually have it set up like, do you know how it looks like on a hockey tournament, like that kind of setup? Yeah, you would just find your name and wait till your next tournament starts. And your name would be on or off. If you lose, it wouldn't be on there. It's like that. Yeah.
And do you play that some special times? Let's say that's spring games, or mostly it's a powwow event?
Okay. All right. The moccasin games is played at any time of the year. But the stick games, I've only known it to be played in the summertime,
Is there any reason why they choose summer?
Well, they're usually outside. Usually when I watch, it's always at a powwow. That's when they play the hand games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I've heard from elders that the not all nations they organize powwows, but when they play, what time do they play? Just any other time on summer?
I haven't actually been to like a big tournament. I always wanted to go to a big tournament, and usually it's the ones that I always see are in the summertime, but I've never seen a hand game tournament in a winter time for some reason. I don't know why. But the other moccasin game, it's usually played all day long. Both of them are actually played all day long, all night until the game is done. So sometimes if you're set up to play after that team loses and it's like 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, you have to play your game at exactly that time.
And what is this game is called in Cree? I mean, we're saying that's indigenous games or hand games, but what's the name of the game in Cree? How do you pronounce that?
I'm not even sure. I don't really know my Cree as well as my Dakota. And I know there are names for that, and I just don't know, but I could ask, the people that I play with, I know they know these names, and there are names for that. I just didn't, I had never asked.
Yeah. Jana probably she will ask you. That would be great, because
Okay.
we're collecting that information about games, and not only about these games, indigenous games, like from United States indigenous people, and the mostly we try to find the names of those games in your
Okay.
native language. Yeah, that Jana will contact you probably.
Okay, I could find that out, and
Yeah,
it wouldn't be hard.
that would be great. Yeah, it's just my last question. before we finish. Again, I've noticed that some nations, like I've seen Dene people playing, not exactly how you said, they play a little bit different, but still they use sticks and they hide. And so, but what in your case, I think is I have never seen that one, that they show them with fingers, right to left and signals.
Oh, okay.
That's the first time I heard that. Yeah, but some nations, they decorate the sticks.
Mhm.
Do you do that, or you just use this without any decoration or colors?
I think that, well, people, they make so many beautiful kinds. So I've never made any sets before, but I know a lot of people, they're so gifted in those kind of, arts, I guess, to make stuff like that, because carving bone is a really hard thing to do. Actually, my dad is, he's a carver. He carves different things for ceremony purposes. So he can carve, stuff like that for those bones, for the games, and sticks are not that hard to do, to make, but they try and make them really nice. So it really depends, and they put like ribbons or tapes on these sticks to make them look nice and fancy. But on these kind of things, they just leave them in one color. It's usually white, and the opponent team will have a stripe on them, so that's how they would look.
I think I've seen some sticks before too, growing up.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. Some of them are really nice, and they really take their time to make these beautiful, things for games like that.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, Janet, do you have any other question?
I think, what was I going to ask? So I just wanted to clarify on the symbols. Don't mind my drawing.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if you can see it. So
Yeah,
if it's on the outer side,
Uh-huh.
I think this is outside, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
So that'd be on this side and that side.
oh, thank you.
Yes, that first one is the outside.
Yeah. Then the inside is this sign, right?
Yes. But you would
And
go like this. It's a
like that?
moving.
A
Yeah, you would
motion?
move. Yeah.
Okay. And then to be on one side, it's just like that.
Yeah.
And then the other side is that way.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had that.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was going to ask you to do that, and but
Yeah.
apparently you did that. Yeah, already. Yeah, that's good because students will of course listen to that, but it's good to see the pictures, and probably we can include those the picture in the textbook, so it will be easier to see that.
But better drawn ones.
Yeah. No, but the idea.
No, not my little stick.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good for understanding. That's then we will have a designer. They will do that, but
Yeah.
yeah, because I'm not good in drawing at all. So, but that's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you very much. And really, it was very interesting. And thank you for your time. I really appreciate that. And I
Okay.
want to ask Jana for organizing this meeting. And later, Jana probably, if she has some questions, she can contact you again.
Okay.
To check that and everything. Yeah, thank you very much. And at the end, Laurie, I would like to ask you, what would you like to say to your readers? Because students will read this book, and we will have Indigenous students, non-Indigenous students. What is your kind of like recommendations? What would you like to express them about
Um,
the games and about Indigenous, about indigenization? What is your guidance to those students?
Well, I would like to say thank you to you all for having me, for asking me questions, because these games are really part of our origin because they were given to us. And to experience something like that is very, even to watch, it's a very, very, exciting thing because there's so much excitement to it. But to play it, to learn how to play this game or these games is something different, it's more exciting. It's more of an adrenaline, especially if you win a big tournament, it's something that more people should go and watch, to go and learn how to play these games, because these games were given to us and they're part of our histories. So I would encourage people, if they've seen a hand game tournament or a moccasin game tournament, to go and sit and watch. It doesn't take that long, even to go and listen to the songs. There's specific songs for specific events, and for these songs they have their own songs, and they were given to us. So, and they're really beautiful, just to even sit there and listen to the songs or something else.
Do you know people who can sing these songs?
Yes, I do. The people that I usually go and watch with the hand games, they're from Chittick Lake area, and they have songs. And I think like center Alberta, like in Alexander area, they have songs. And for the moccasin games, we have people from here that have songs for the moccasin games. So
Yeah,
yes, it
that's
varies.
Thank you. Thank you.
And where is here? Sorry.
Oh, I am from Wahpeton, Dakota Nation.
And do you see a lot of these games and stuff being played still, like at powwows, like near us or anything like that? Or
Well,
much
I
anymore?
went to one. It's not really that near, because like I said, I'm half Dakota, and when I want to watch, they had these games played, I think yesterday in Whitecap, and it's a different Dakota Nation. It's on the other side of Saskatoon, and they had these tournaments yesterday. But when I watched, I went to Brandon, Manitoba to watch for this big Dakota Winterfest, it's called, so it was pretty far, but it was really good. They were very good.
I seen that they had some up north too recently with some type of summit that they were having for the youth.
Okay.
Yeah, something about Indigenous games. I didn't go to it though.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different games. Like we play other games here, like for the teenagers, we have these spear throwings, they're called, and you have to get it in a bullseye, and they make like the ceramic out of well, usually my dad does this. He makes this big buffalo, and it's a spear throwing, and you got to try and get it in, as close as you can in the bullseye. Well, it's going, like it's moving. So that is another, that's another hard game. We have a lot of different games here that we play. Yeah, and there's this old game like that grandparents play with their grandchildren, to teach them their language. They have games for that. They have a bunch of different kinds.
Do you have any games about that? Do you know any?
Yeah, well, that's one game that we play. I play that. I have 2 grandchildren, and I play it with them, and that's the game I was actually going to show you today, was that, because I didn't know you were going to ask me about these hand games. I didn't even know, and I'm so happy that I know about that game, or actually about both of those games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's as far as I know about those hand games. But this game, I play this game with my grandchildren, and usually you usually get like a cloth bag. But I was in a rush today, and so I put a bunch of these. They don't use rock because rocks are so sacred to our people. They don't use rocks at all. They use they usually carve sticks. So they put them in this big bag here. Okay. And then like a long time ago, the parents, they work hard, you know, this is before they had houses, like a long time ago. And the grandchildren would be left with the grandchildren. So they would play games like this, and they would put a bunch of little pieces of wood in a bag like this. And they would teach them their language. They would say a color in their language and a number. So let's say I wanted blue. So I would say toe. Toe is how you say blue. And then I would say a number. So I would say Numpa toe, which means two blue. So the grandchildren would look in this bag and they would take out two blue. And you know, so on like that. And that's how that game would go. And you would have 10 of each color into a little bag like this. And that's how you teach them the numbers and the colors as well. Sometimes you can make it into a game, like you know, I taught the kindergarten, you know, teaching out here. Sometimes I would have them all looking at the same time, and I would say, you know, and they would have to get different things. They couldn't get the same thing. So I would say the same thing, you know, I would say Numpa toe. And then people, all the, you know, the kindergarten, which would be about 26 to 30 of them, they would race around the classroom looking for two things that were blue, and they would come back to their desk, and then the winner is the winner. You know, I would have it like that to be competitive for them. So they would, you know, try and learn faster. Yeah. So
That's
there's those
interesting. Even
kinds.
those kind of games would even be good in the book too, you know? Things
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
yeah, there's a lot of different things that we play, you know, a lot of different games. But you know, we have so many sacred things that we would not use, like rocks. We would never use rocks for those kind of things because they think of a rock being alive. So a lot of people ask, why don't you use rocks? And I tell them that, you know, we don't use rocks for those.
Yeah, and then I hear like if a kid brings a rock to you too, those are like sacred healing rocks sometimes
Yes, they
too.
are. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's
So then you're
I
supposed
call
to
them
keep them, or
grandfathers.
yeah.
Yeah.
so
So
good.
that is the reason why I don't use those.
Well, I like that idea. I'll probably start doing that with my kids.
Yeah, it's a good way. I teach that in kindergarten over here.
Mhm. So I just wanted to clarify on the stick and hand game. So if there's 2 to 4 players, and then is it 2 people playing against the other team, or is it all 4 people playing against the all 4 on the other team?
No, you usually play against one opponent team.
One opponent and one opponent,
Yes,
kind of like
it's
that.
always 2. Yeah.
Okay. And then
Sometimes you'll have a bunch of people playing, like one set here and one set over here. It depends how big the building is until, you know, they all get disqualified, you know, and then you're finally at neck and neck with one person. I mean, with one group of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So say if me and you were playing together,
Mhm.
and then I had my bone and my stick, right? Does it
Mhm.
go like that?
Yeah, your bone and your sticks. Or
And
your
then I go
bones
behind
and
my
your
back, and
sticks.
then you have yours.
Mhm.
And then the songs are playing, and then they stop, and then we go like this, me and you,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah,
And
I've
then who
actually
would-
seen two people play. I only a few times, but I don't know if that you could really play one-on-one.
Yeah.
But I know that you could play 2 and 4. It's always the even number.
Okay, so it's always like, so my other team member would be here and then your team member would be beside you too?
Yeah.
And then who would choose? Like, would us two play? Us two who are playing choose your side? Like if your hands are on both left or something like that? Or
It
would
would
it be the other?
It could be either or, whoever picks. Usually, usually I like to take charge and I'll say I'll pick all the time, or sometimes I'll, if I'm not having a good few rounds, I'll say pick, and then they pick. So it really varies. You could
Oh, it
pick or
depends on
your
the team.
opponent. Yeah. Or you could get the other person to pick beside you.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mhm.
So that's that. And then for the moccasin games,
Mhm.
they would be the leader who chooses with the stick, right?
Yeah. And those
Okay.
prizes, are really big. Some people, they take stuff there and they'll have big prizes instead of money,
Mm-hmm.
and they would play for like big systems, stereo systems, TVs, and, everything like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And is there a fee that you have to pay in order to be a part of these tournaments?
Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not, it depends. Usually at powwows, it's not very much. But if you're going to like a big event, like the one I told you, the $21,000, I'm pretty sure it's $1,000 to play, and that's in US. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have for now.
Okay,
'Cause I wrote everything down kind of too.
okay.
Arzu, do you have anything?
No, that's it. And just again, I would like to thank both of you, and it was very interesting. Yeah, and I will stop recording now.